in control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And today, folks, we are celebrating Juneteenth.
exactly.
That's how we do it here on the Business Zone, guys.
Yeah.
I co-host. I forgot to send out a batch email to some of our supporters so they can tune in. Hopefully, they'll tune in the meantime and in between time. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and many other sources, many other platforms, guys. So check us out. Join us. We're the number one, in my opinion, we're the number one small business podcast in Southern California and this side of the Mississippi. How about
All right.
that?
There you go. There you go. we could be bigger than that. We just don't know. And that's okay. If we are, you guys can let us know. But welcome, welcome, welcome. We got some eyeballs coming in.
Good.
They came in last week and we had a little bit of a rerun. So just because things just didn't work out the way. Sometimes we just have to take a little bit of a break, but we showed a great return. And I did pop in and I saw quite a few people that were responding to the show.
Oh, that's
So
great. That's great.
yeah.
And it's always good to send her a message, not just once, not just twice, but multiple times. Because as you know, the rule of marketing is you got to send some message at least 7 times before the regular consumers or marketplace listen to your message. So
True
we just
that.
got to keep sending it over and over.
True that, true that, true that. So happy week, guys. We are in the third week of June. I actually started biz camp this week, so I'm on the exhausted side. It's been early morning, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning to be at the school at 8,
I'll
teaching for
lift you up, co-host. I'll lift you up. I'll put you on my back and I'll run with you.
all
Okay.
righty, to be there for from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. But great bunch, a great group of kids, young people eager to learn to be entrepreneurs. So it's been fun getting to know them. Today, this morning, we went downtown LA, and we went to the garment or the excuse me, Santee Alley for the kids to buy products so that they can resell them for sale day, which is one of the exercises that we use to emphasize marketing and marking up your sales item to receive a profit over your retail item. So they got a kick out of that. Some of them have never been to some of them have actually never been downtown, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, so it was kind of fun today. Kids,
That's good. That's good.
yeah. So let
That
me see.
that means moving them out of their comfort zone so they can explore some other areas in the
Yes,
marketplace. Huh?
yes, 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 which is important, especially as an entrepreneur. So I just love this part. I just love this part of my practice is working with young people
I hear that.
and helping them create their business and teaching them about business and um why it's so important. So
Hmm.
and this is a pretty good. Now this year is a little bit different actually. We met Rhonda met someone and they were able to send a flyer out to all of LA Unified. So we have
Hmm.
kids from coming from all over the city,
Yeah.
and so that's pretty cool. we are just having it's gonna be a fun 2 months because especially this month the kids have been pretty cool.
That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Hmm.
Sounds
So
great. Love it. Love it.
yeah, so that's what I've been doing this week. Not too much time for anything else.
Man, I know you. You're a workhorse, man, and you're out there doing all these things. It's definitely to the benefit of these I'll call them young entrepreneurs. So that's great. That's great. And I know you won't stop until they get to the top of the mountain. So
Yeah.
just keep doing what you do. Just
So one day,
keep doing what you
one day we may these kids may be on the
do.
Fortune
Fortune
100
100 list.
list, and we can all look back and go, "Hey, I can look back and say, wow, this is one of my kids," and so
Yeah, my fingerprint
my
was all over
fingerprint was
that one.
all over it, and so I'm excited. I'm always excited about this because I'm always excited about um, kids having this opportunity. And just think, I told the kids when I first kicked it off this week, I just would have loved to have had a program like this at their age,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
um, at my age. What a difference that would have made.
That would have been amazing. We would have a lot more of us being entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Hey, Jessica, welcome. Glad to have you here. So kids are excited. We got 37 kids. I got 20 of the 37 in my class, and Miss Rhonda has the other group in her class. So,
Mm-mm-mm.
and so her group are children that already have businesses, and my group are children that are just learning about.
I want to put this question out there. So hopefully some of your young entrepreneurs are listening as well as some of the adult entrepreneurs. I want to put this question out there. And guys, put your response in the chat. Let us know what your response is for this. We're going to be asking you more questions today because today is such an amazing day. Not only are we celebrating Juneteenth, but we're also celebrating self movement and entrepreneurship for minorities. Okay. So, what is business, guys? Tell us. What is business? I want you to put it in the chat. What your opinion is of business, what your definition is of business, and let's have a chat. Let's talk about it because maybe that's part of the reason why many of our small businesses are not more successful because they probably never thought about the definition, the real definition of business.
Hmm.
What do you think, co-host?
Yeah, I think when we ask kids that, and you ask them what is entrepreneurship, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
most people relate it to a more of a personal situation. Them creating freedom for themselves and being able to be in control of their own destinies and things like that. But entrepreneurship is so much bigger than that because it really
Mm-hmm.
is. When you look at it on a whole, all businesses started small before they got to be big
Mm-hmm.
businesses, and
That's
it's
right.
used, primary as a jump start for the economy. So, how many businesses were started after the pandemic? And we lost a whole bunch of businesses, but
That's
just
right.
think about how many businesses got started post pandemic, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic brought so many other new needs to the surface, right? New problems to the surface that people, when they were pivoting, they may have closed down one business, but they brought back another business that was much more needed for that time. And today is the same exact thing. Hey, Gregory, uh, same thing. New businesses must always be in the marketplace.
That's
Always
right.
be in the marketplace.
And they also have to have some knowledge of the marketplace, what the marketplace is, what it contains, what it's about, and what it can do for them. So those are all things that as an entrepreneur entering the marketplace, they need to have some level of grasp on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, and for us as African American, happy Father's Day. That's right, and it's Happy Father's Day this weekend. Yeah,
Oh
those
yeah,
that
thank you
father
guys. I
is
don't I don't have any kiddies yet, guys, but thank you for the Father's
and
Day wishes.
surrogate fathers and uncles and things
There
like
you
that.
go.
So brothers who got kids who might be taking care of their siblings. So wonderful. Thank you to all of you for all that you guys do. You guys don't get the accolades that mommies get. Um
Well, I feel like a father to my entrepreneurs,
oh, well,
these
that's very
entrepreneurs that I
true.
coach.
That's
So
very true.
so so that's why I'm taking the recognition. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Jessica says business is an organization, an entity that provides goods or professional services to.
All
There you go.
right.
There you go.
I love that, Jessica. Thank you for that definition. I love it. We should have a competition to see who can give us the best. Well, let's do that today. Let's see who else is listening. Who can give us the best definition of what a business is? And I want to put my offering out there, guys. My offering would be to provide you a free hour of consulting on anything that you need. One free hour. If you can tell us what your definition is of a business.
Okay. All righty then. Well, while everybody's populating that, so this weekend, in addition to being Father's Day, and we're going to talk about this, it is Juneteenth Day. Um, And I was in the DMV yesterday and I looked across the room and there was a big sign on the back wall. And I'm thinking, wow, look at this. The DMV is celebrating Juneteenth. And then I got up and when this happened to be the window I got to go to. It was not the DMV, it was a lady in the DMV that was celebrating Juneteenth. So
But the DMV should celebrate Juneteenth because Juneteenth is a
well, they
federal
gonna
holiday.
celebrate everything gonna be
So,
closed on Monday.
so whether they want to celebrate or not, they better and they have
And listen to this. I'm leaving for London on Juneteenth, and so yeah,
Oh,
so
are
I'm
you?
going to London to the colonizers' home on the Juneteenth. Now, how ironic is that?
So you're gonna sit with the colonizers and explain. Listen, in case you forgot, let me explain what Juneteenth is all
But
about.
it's
I love it.
interesting,
I
so
love
because
it.
I'm going for a sport. It's an organization that's doing a global sports summit, and it's in relationship to the nonprofit that I sit on the board, Pete Brown Junior
Yeah,
Tennis Program. So everything in the agenda is all about equality in gender equality in
yeah.
sports, but also about equality and how and dealing with racism and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually very apropos.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what. And our field correspondent Greg Sneed, he gave us his definition of what a business is. He said an organization that provides goods or services to earn a profit. Love it, love it,
Right,
love
right,
it.
right.
Thank you. So right now, Greg, you and Jessica are tied close in a close tie for that title. So let's see if there's anyone else who can come and move ahead of you guys with their definition. So, guys, the question is, what is your definition of a business? And your definition should be closely in line with what the general definition is. So, don't tell me, hey, my my definition of a business is a hustle. Don't tell me that.
That's as Greg would call it, doing business.
Doing business. Doing business.
Not business, but business.
Greg say happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Uh,
That's a Jamaican. That's a Jamaican uh, pronunciation
uh,
there. Happy Father's Day.
oh goodness gracious! How was
so
your week?
so for oh man, my week has been crazy. I've been trying to low key, enjoy myself and trying to get some rest in, but the phone never stopped ringing, man. Every time the phone ring, it's a new issue I got to take on. So I mean that's why I was selected by the Father to be a business coach, a guide, a shepherd. So you're always gonna have folks with issues that need to be solved. So
Trust, I
that's
feel
why
you.
that's what happened, man. That's what
I
happened.
feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, but yeah, even during this time with biz camp, it's been a challenge. Let me tell you, because my
Wow. So you've been so busy this week, man. I call you, you go, I
they
can't
talk
talk to you now.
now.
I'm running a class. And then I call you again, I'm on my way to the DMV. I'm going, oh my Lord, this lady is running
And
ragged.
in order to even get to the DMV, I had to reschedule a couple of clients because I just had this week. And this has been that calamity of a week, right? I went so Monday was first day of client of camp, and then I had a full afternoon roster, two clients in a class I had to teach. So I taught for 4 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So that was 6 hours. And now, mind you, I am not a morning person on nobody's planet, in nobody's reality, but been waking up early and going and then of course I have to do whatever I have to do. And then Tuesday, I go to a client and they happen to have QuickBooks is making some changes in their products, and they're uh kind of eliminating, they say they're not, but they're really eliminating the desktop. So I had a client, when they got the new computer, we actually had a subscription versus the software, and so the subscriptions expired, and I don't go to that client every month. So there was no notification
Right.
that came out, no nothing. So I get there to go do their bookkeeping and could not get into the system. Uh
Wow. They locked
yeah,
you
locked
out?
this out. So I had to convert it over to my online accounting platform. So never
Hmm.
got the work done. So now I gotta reschedule. I gotta squeeze him back in to an already very tight schedule. And so that was
Wow.
then. Then I had classes I had to teach on Wednesday. And then
Hmm.
of course for Thursday I had to I had to get to the DMV. I had a number of things that I had to do that requires me getting there in person to do it. So it was really tough. Greg says neither one of us are morning people. That's because we work late into the night, Greg. You can't be morning and nighttime people.
That's true. That's true, man. That's true. Yeah, if you call me, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9:30, you're not talking to me. You're talking to my representative. I'm not available to talk to anyone until 11 o'clock, man.
Yeah, so that just that's the beauty of us being entrepreneurs. So yeah, so that was, yeah, my week was really kind of crazy, but I'm looking forward after the kids. I got a week between the next camp at July, from the 1st to the 9th. I have all that time off from the kids, and then we jump back into gear on the 10th. So we'll see what that'll look
I
like.
hear that. So is Greg going to present that one of these classes and teach these small young entrepreneurs how to start looking into insurance, security, and all
Well,
those
I don't
things?
know. Greg hasn't said he wanted to, but we could actually use Greg as if he's available, or we can use Greg as a judge. We're gonna be needing all of that by the end of the month. So
Yeah, I think those little young entrepreneurs, man, they need to hear they need to hear now why insurance is so important because a lot of us minorities and small and micro businesses, it's like we've grown, we're a lot of us are 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond, and we're still not even thinking about insurance and how it can help our legacy, our next generation, or even our current status. So we need someone like Greg to come in and start, showing them different areas, different benefits of insurance, or insurance in your life, insurance in your business, and because some people right now are pretty reckless. They live a reckless life.
you think?
they, they they don't think about certain ramifications, so they just do some stuff. So Greg, man, we need you there at the biz camp to share your wisdom.
Okay, well, we'll see if Greg is up to it. He Yesterday I brought all the kids that came on to they came to he's going to be in New York for he's I'm to New York for today's kids. um
Well, maybe that's what they need, man. Maybe they need that New York perspective.
Yeah, he actually saw them yesterday. I had them come in to the community briefing, so all of them signed on, and showed up to find out. They liked it. It was there.
Yeah, for sure, because it's a good platform, man. People get to talk about things and they get to learn from others in the community what's going
Mhm,
on. That's
mhm,
good.
mhm. So yeah, they enjoyed it, and I'm also was showing them how you can actually, how a podcast can be very beneficial for your business. So
Yeah,
they got a kick out of that. So everybody.
that's good.
So we had 37. Well, not all 37 of them could get on, but I had them on the big screen as well. Until my computer just died out, they lost power, and I didn't have my cord with me. So, but Greg was going to take over anyway, so he did a good job. Did a good
That's
job.
good. Also, folks, today we're going to talk about here on the Business Zone. We're going to talk about the differences between female leaders and male leaders. What some of the differences are, and who who is a better leader, the female leader or the male leader, and why, and who is the worst leaders, the female or the male, and why. And share your share your experience, man. Let me know what's going on. Let the world know what's going on, guys, because maybe you're seeing some stuff we're not seeing.
Yeah, right. There is definitely a difference in the two. But before we do that, we are going to talk about Juneteenth.
Yes,
You
I.
know, for many, I think by this point, I would hope. Although someone asked me the other day, oh, the kids asked me because the kids were off on they're off on Monday. So one of the kids said, "What is Juneteenth?" And so I had to explain to them
Mm-hmm.
what is Juneteenth. But I remember my sister, she works for the county. She's a county assessor for the property tax board, right? And so
Yeah.
this lady, one of her colleagues, that was, I think, last year or the year before, whatever was the first year we actually became a legal holiday. Was that last year or that was during Obama,
I think it was
2 years
2 years
ago,
ago.
right? So,
Yeah.
so when she was asking my sister, she goes, "I don't understand what is Juneteenth." And so when my sister told her that uh, this grouping of people in Texas, in Galveston, Texas, didn't get the message until 2 years after slavery. She goes, "What?"
we could start a war, a revolution with that.
To full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation was the actual Juneteenth, for those who don't know. So, a group of people in Galveston, Texas, didn't realize that Juneteenth, that slavery, that A
They didn't realize they
They
were
did not
free.
know they were free, and so they were
They
still
thought they were still
toiling
slaves.
in the fields. It's just sad how they treat us, man. Just so darn sad how
Yeah,
they treat us.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's true,
in lieu
man.
of the Juneteenth, there's uh,
I put it
chat.
in the
Okay,
chat right
so
there.
in
God.
lieu of Juneteenth, and I think Juneteenth also leads into reparations. And I get this question whenever I talk about reparations. People say, why, right? How could someone in today's time be responsible for what their ancestors did, and why should that be the case? And my answer to that is that, if it had a stopped in 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and at that point in time, something like a Juneteenth didn't happen, where 2 years later, a whole state didn't even know that they were free. But let's say if that had happened, they had given us our 40 acres and a mule as promised, right? And
Yeah,
allowed us to be able to pull ourselves together, do what we needed to do to create employment, create businesses, be able to be self-sufficient. And it had ended that and left us to do that without Jim
yeah.
Crow and all the other nightmares that came after Jim Crow. I
Jim Crow and all the other
All the
crows.
other stuff that went with it, I'd say you probably had a point. But it didn't stop
Yeah,
there, because here we're celebrating Juneteenth, where people were not told until 2.5 years later that slavery had ended.
yeah.
So, so that right there tells you it became it became
Wow.
official federal holiday in 2021. So that tells you
Yeah.
why reparations are needed, because y'all wasn't even fair when Abraham Lincoln, when they signed the Emancipation Proclamation,
The
because at that
Emancipation
point there was a
Proclamation.
lot of promises made that never ever
Yeah,
materialized, right?
right.
So, and then I think I was telling you, so I was telling you that an article populated in my feed today, and this one just blew me away. But this young graduate student, she uncovered the largest slave auction in the United States. She had to
Yeah.
dig deep to find this, but she made a discovery, a stunning discovery, that in um, Charleston, South Carolina, she clicked on a link in 1835, and she found out that there was a that it was an auction. And it read, she was going through some ads to, she's a historian, so she's going to the through some ads, and she found that a gang, this is how they were described, a gang of slaves had been that were up for sale. And the number of people that was being sold on this particular day was 600 people.
Mm-mm-mm.
And she found out through further research that it was the largest slave trade in the US, one that was held over 2 days in 1859, just outside of Savannah, Georgia, roughly 100 miles down the Atlantic coast from this woman's home. And it was at a racetrack just outside of the city, at an indebted plantation, and the heir had died, and they were selling his slaves. And so, as she kept digging to find out more information, she finally found a descendant of the um plantation, and he had written a book. And in turn, in his book, it was called "A Family, Slaves in a Family," and the owner, the plantation owner's name was John Ball Jr. And so his son had written a book, and in the book, he indicated that um his plantation owners, or his parents, he described them as, his ancestors, his great grandparents, he described them as a wealthy rice landlords who operated a slave dynasty. Now that's a
Mm-mm-mm.
pretty big word, dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he estimated that they enslaved about 4,000 people on their properties over 167 years, placing them
Wow.
amongst the oldest and longest plantation operators in American South. So when you
Wow.
find this stuff out, and this guy said that his ancestor John Ball was a Harvard educated planter who lived in a 3-story brick house in downtown Charlottesville while operating at least 5 plantations he owned in the vicinity. And by the time malaria killed him at the age of 51, this person had enslaved 600 people of his own on his own plantation, including valuable drivers, carpenters, coppers, and boatmen. And they actually worked 7,000 acres of land that he owned. So
Mm-mm-mm.
that is why you cannot tell me that we should, one, get over it, and two, that reparations should not take place.
Well, you know what's amazing? Here's what's amazing, that a lot of people really don't know. They hear about this 40 acres and a mule, but it's not that we're waiting for a handout, that any welfare to get 40 acres and a mule compensation. The federal government stole our land. They stole over 400,000 acres of land from
Right.
us, from the blacks. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So it's not like we're trying to beg for anything. We want our land back. That's what it is. So it's not like we're saying, well, because of this, we think the equivalent of the damages is 40 acres and a mule. No, we want our damn land that you guys stole from us. That's what this is all about, guys. So don't think we're asking for a handout. We want what was taken from us. 400 acres of land formerly owned by Confederate landowners. You stole that from us. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we want our land
And
back.
on top of that, the insane abuse that took place while these people were working their lands and making them rich landlords, and billionaires in of that time, or millionaires of that time. It was on the backs of these individuals who didn't have a choice. We weren't. Nobody gave us a ticket and asked us to cruise across the Atlantic and come to America. We were fine where we were. You came into a country, a continent, and you stole the people. The people were stolen, enslaved, and brought here in chains to work the land to make
Mhm.
the wealthy, the people, the British and the new Americans wealthy. And so I say probably anyone of any wealth that wealth was achieved on the lands of the U.S. And since they all came here as rejected subjects of Great Britain, they ain't had no money. So that
Right.
means every dime that they made was on the backs of on the slaves, the
That's
enslaved
right.
people. So that they stole not just their land, Gilbert, they stole their dignity, they stole their pride, they stole their freedom. and they continue to
Exactly.
do that for over 400 years. So my statement is reparations are long overdue, and trust me, the $1 trillion ain't even enough to really repay it. But it's the principle of the thing, and it has to be done. An apology has to be made, but they have to make these people whole because they have literally destroyed so many lives. Because think about it, because over this time frame, this young lady discovered that they had this really truly this over this 4-day weekend, this 2-day week, they actually had sold a total of 700 people. And then the wife came back
Wow.
and bought uh, 200 of them back
Mm-mm-mm.
and bought some of the land back after she had been after she had gotten the proceeds. And according to this ancestor of her, this descendant of hers, she said that she was a very cruel woman, and she ran the plantation like an army, and if anyone stepped out of line, then she beat them, and then she sent them to this jailhouse where they got beat, tortured some more. So don't tell me that
Mm-mm.
there should not be some reparations, because they need to there has to be some reparations for apology, and then the number of people that got separated from their families. So that's what happened
Mhm.
after freedom. After freedom, people are like, you know what, I gotta go find my people, because they
Yeah.
separated us from our people.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what happened, and I don't see that happening to any other groups out there
They
except us.
separated us. Folks had to go and travel all, and they had no idea where they were going, because somebody would come,
Hmm.
you'd be on one plantation, you have your family, and then out of cruelty, that family, that parent, that plantation owner would then take your family, and out of spite and meanness and just being deplorable, would then take your family and sell that family to some other plantation that they may not even be in the state that you were in. Just deplorable
Hmm.
behavior, if you ask me. So that's my 2 cents.
So they strip our ancestors of their resources, their economic resources, not only their dignity but their economic resources as well, which is owning land so they can form the land, sell certain parts of it, build structures on it, build businesses. All of that was stripped away, and there was no level of accountability for that. So then, we try to be creative and go out and, either try to purchase other land so we can sustain ourselves. And then they start, doing those redlining approaches to try to stop us from, one, getting back our own land, and two, buying other land to replace the land that we've lost. So it is a shame and a disgrace on this country that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And what they don't understand, though, is that it's going to come back to haunt them, because, see, more and more people are either digging, researching, or stumbling upon information which they've been hiding from us. So how long are they going to do this for? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen,
Yeah.
man. They just got to step up to the plate. Now, they've compensated a lot of other groups in this country. They've compensated the Native Americans by giving them access to certain land, giving them allowances on building casinos,
Hmm.
right? They also have SBA contracts, set aside contracts for Native Americans as well. They call it no bid contracts. So they don't have to bid on it. They just supply and they get the
Hmm.
contract. So they were compensated for the atrocities against them. Jewish folks were also compensated, for the atrocities brought against
Hmm.
them. Um, Latinos, I'm yet to see it, but the only thing with the Latinos is, because of the process of they call it assimilation. Assimilation is a process by which someone who looks similar or operates similar in likeness can pass as the group in charge who receive privileges and entitlements. So, because many Latinos have light skin and the hair is long and silky, they can easily pass as the ones who are
Mm,
privileged from the
mm,
colonizers. So that's why they are ranked higher on the totem pole. It's a
yeah.
pyramid, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
pyramid. So that's what it is. At the tip, you've got the European looking folks, Then down below, underneath that, you have the semi-European, these are folks from, Bosnia and all those other areas. They're downtrodden, but they look close to, they look very similar. They resemble that group
Mm.
of
Yeah,
colonizers, right?
they
So
can they can assimilate more. I mean, we
yeah, they can
yeah, we can't
assimilate, right?
assimilate. We are who we are. So,
Right. So they are a second level. And then after that, you will have, and also not only did they do the likeness, but then they also do the ones with economic resources. So groups that have money are always, and the likeness are ranked closer to the top. So you have the colonizers, then you've got the folks, the European folks who look like
mhm.
them and have some money. Then they're second rank. Then third, you have the Asians, because Asians bring a lot of resources, and they didn't come here on their
Mhm.
own. I mean, they came here on their own. They weren't brought
Yeah.
here.
They got
So
an
so,
invitation,
so
we
they
didn't.
they got an invitation. Ours were rescinded and canceled, right? So 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 Asians are third on that ranking, right? And then fourth will be the Latinos and Hispanics, you know. So they're, because of the assimilation, they're similar and all of that. And then we have the Native Americans, right? Above
Uh-huh.
us. Native Americans are below the Latinos and above us. And then at the bottom of the rank are the Negroes, the Africanos. They're at the bottom of the rank of the pyramid. So and that's pretty much how folks are treated according to that assimilation pyramid, in this country and in the world. And again, it has a lot to do with lightness versus darkness. So the darker you are, the worse you're treated. And if you notice in certain cultures, right, folks like the Indian, we're talking the Pacific Islanders, like people from
Mhm.
India, right? Those folks, the lighter skinned ones, right? They tend to live by the north, and the darker skinned ones are living in the south. The lighter skinned ones treat the darker skinned ones horribly. The same thing with Latinos. The lighter skinned Latinos, they treat the darker skinned Latinos
Yeah.
horribly. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Have you ever, how many commercials have you seen on TV with a dark skinned Latino in
Oh, I've never
it?
seen
Not
any
many.
of I've never
That's
it's
what
like
I'm
that
talking
doesn't
about.
exist.
That's what I'm talking about. And then you got that merger, you got countries like South America, which have a lot of Afro Latinos, like you've got uh, Paraguay and all of those, Uruguay, even Brazil. Brazil has the largest amount of blacks in the world because of the assimilation during the slave trade, right? You have 55 million blacks in Brazil, only 40 million blacks in the United States. So outside of Africa, where blacks are dominant, the next best place where you find a large amount of blacks would be Brazil, and then the United States.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So if you notice, when you look at the larger where the larger amount of blacks reside, you notice the treatment of blacks are more horrible. It's more horrible in those
Mm-hmm.
states. So I mean, in those countries. So it tells you a lot, man, and it's all stemmed from this uh, how they strip us of our dignity, strip us of our resources. Because think about it, people with with no resources, you can't really fight people in court. You can't defend yourself because
You
you
have
have nothing
nothing.
to
You have
defend
nothing to work
yourself.
with. Yeah. And
Right,
every time you achieve something that like
right.
Black Wall Street or what have you. So we're really all in the same place. But Gilbert, is interesting. Yesterday when I was at the DMV, this guy sat down next to me, and he asked me, was I his African sister? And I was like, well, I'm not quite sure. Are you saying African is sister as in I have and DNA from the diaspora, or are you saying that am I actually immigrated from the continent? Which one are you saying? Because immigration, I didn't immigrate from the continent. My people were stolen and brought here. But which one? So he was
Right.
saying, you look like you actually could be from Africa. Well, yeah, my ancestors were. But this is interesting. He was from Nigeria. He'd been here for 24 years. He
Yeah.
absolutely loved America. And he says, and if you go to
Mm-mm.
Africa and Nigeria, especially, he says, because in his opinion, Nigeria is not the place you go for tourism because there's nothing there for tourism. He said there's
Mm-hmm.
223 million people, which is about the size, I guess, of where? No, we have 300 and something million people. We have
Yeah, we
328
have.
million in Los Angeles. So and he's saying in another 4 or 5 years, Nigerian was going to have close to 400. They were going to have, no, it's more than a million, because they were going to
Yeah,
be the third most populated country in the world.
yeah, yeah. The U.S. has about 330 million people. So, and in
Yeah,
Los
that's right. It's
Angeles,
10, 9, 10,
yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
so
yeah,
Nigeria by themselves have 200 million people in Nigeria
yeah.
alone,
Alone,
not the whole entire
yeah,
continent. And so he says, and
right.
that's going to double to about 400 by in the next 5 years, the next something of that nature. He said, but if you went to Nigeria and asked them, every last one of those people would want to come to America to live.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
interesting, right?
That's
So,
true.
yeah, and I imagine I guess if we went to Jamaica, if the opportunities suited them, would they all want to come to America?
I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure they will because of the opportunities that exist
Hmm.
here versus what's there. There's several reasons why, you'd have folks from Jamaica and other countries wanting to come here. One, we thrive on abundance, right? We thrive on
Right.
options. So in smaller countries, there aren't too many options. There isn't much abundance. So people are restricted to what they have. But here, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of abundance. So that's why people thrive for that. And even back in the day in the Bible, you notice a lot of people would move from one nation to another because where the opportunities exist. So it's not like something that started
Mm,
recently. This has been going on for a
right,
while,
right, right,
man.
right. Yeah, so it's just interesting. I guess for us as a people, I mean, we're living here, so we truly know what it's about. And
Yeah.
they're looking at us as, I guess, that this is a mecca, but for them it probably would be a mecca for them, because they, even Africans, would not be treated like us.
That's
They would
true.
not be treated like us. So it would be
That's true.
a utopia for them.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
As opposed to us. So anyway, guys, we want to wish you a happy Juneteenth, but we truly, it's so important that you understand the history of it. You understand why it's so important that we do fight for reparations, because there's just been so much damage created in our communities, in our families, in our culture, that unless we know who we are, where we came from, our history, it's very hard to heal from that. And then I would recommend, and I know it's not possible for everyone, but I recommend you gather your little pennies together and you try to get, before you leave this planet, try to get to the continent, just so you can understand where you did come from. That's what I would say. I
Yeah,
think it's very important for every African American or to actually go to the continent of Africa.
definitely, definitely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of seals you. It really helps unify your own spirit. I think it's something about putting your feet on that continent that really, really says to your soul and your spirit, this is where my people came from. This is where I came from. And it kind of, to me, it unites your soul.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
So,
Yes, it does.
all righty.
Yes,
So
it
let's go
does.
jump in before we our next hour or so. Let's talk about, and this is an interesting topic because I don't know about you guys, but I have felt that there is, and I don't think it's not a feel, it is a reality, that there is a movement going on, and that movement is appearing to, I don't know, displace women. Or move us back to our place. If I don't know, did we have a place? But I think that's what's happening. Uh, that is, there's something going on that women are. There's a lot of animosity, if I can use that word, toward women, and women in the workplace, women in the business world, just women in general. So the and so we're going to do our topic today on entrepreneurship and 7 key differences between men in business and women in business. Now, Gilbert and I are both coaches of both. Gilbert definitely have a preference for working with women.
Oh
And
man, I tell
my
you.
nurturing personality is good for women, and I think that in the business world, that women don't necessarily have all of the resources that men do. And
Right.
so you
I
agree with
agree
that?
with that.
And so
Yes.
these are some specifics that I found that I thought was interesting, and maybe you guys will find them interesting as well. I do know for a fact that even as an entrepreneur, that women don't make the same amount of money, even if they were in the same business. Is that correct, Gilbert?
That's true. That is true.
So, and I'm not quite sure why.
Well, I know
Okay, can
why.
you share with me why? I mean, we're in the same business, and I got a lot of colleagues that are women in this business as
Mhm.
coaches,
Right.
and I have a lot of friends that are in business as entrepreneurs, and I know for a fact that they don't make the same amount of money their male counterparts make, and they
Right.
possibly have the same education background, same experience, same subject matter expertise. So, could you enlighten us, Gilbert?
Well, there is a lot of reason. There are, I should say, there are a lot of reasons why women are not regarded as, as their male counterparts. One of that is, and I'm gonna talk about a lot of different
Okay.
areas. So one of that is, it is determined by those male groups who are privileged and in power, that the female um, entrepreneur or female in general don't work as hard as men. They take easier jobs. If they don't have to take a hard job, they don't. So as a result, when it comes to big projects and serious type of programs, they don't consider them because they're thinking, okay, these guys are not my peers. They can't compete the way we do. They don't do the hard work. So that's one of the reasons they don't respect them as much, right? And therefore, they figure more or less, okay, we'll throw them a bone here and there, but we're not going to. Now, in my lifetime and my career, I have had female um, directors and program managers who have done a pretty good job, and also they have approached the business in a unique manner that I didn't see their male counterparts doing. So to paint a broad brush and say women are not good leaders, or women are not good managers, and women are no
Mm-hmm.
good, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Women look at things different. For example, women, they know when they're not good at certain things. They know that. So they're not going to try to keep doing stuff that they're not good at. It's easier for them to hire the resources they need so they can get to where they need to get
Mm-hmm.
to. Now, male, on the other hand, a lot, based on my
Okay.
experience, a lot of them will not do that. A lot of them will say, "Oh, I'm good. I got this. I got this. I'll take care of it." And then only to find out that many of them don't even know what the heck they're doing. Many of them don't have the resources. Well, they have the resources, but they don't know how to do it themselves. So they later on have to come back with their tail between their legs, saying, "Hey, you know what? I was wrong. Can you? I need to hire this resource." So that's how the men approach it. But women definitely know when they're not good at something, and then they don't keep perpetrating that they're good at it. Now, for some reason, lenders and contract providers feel like they shouldn't provide women the same opportunities that they provide men, and because they determine women to be the weaker
Mm-hmm.
sex. And again, like I said earlier, they feel like men will work forever until they die. But I'm serious. But they feel like women don't work until they die. They feel like women will work, maybe a maximum of 40 years, and that's it. And somehow they receive compensation for whatever contribution they made to the
Mm-hmm.
world. So that's how they're viewed by a lot of their male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result of that, their male peers and counterpart don't think, hey, well, why am I even spending time with this person? 4% of women entrepreneurs get get bank loans. 4%. 4% of women entrepreneurs get contracts. So that tells you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If a male and a female go into a bank looking for a loan, or if you do a role reversal, a
Mm-hmm.
woman goes into a bank, they pay attention more to the male as opposed to the female. Let's say the female is the owner and the male is just the manager in the business. The loan officers tend to direct their conversation to the male in the room versus the female who is the owner, and they blatantly know this person is the owner, but they're focusing on the male. So so a lot of those disparities have been going on for years now. And just like in the society where we have blacks who are really good at something, but they keep getting ignored because they're not
Mm-hmm.
valued. The same with
Mm.
women. Yeah. So that's what. I've discovered over the years.
And it's interesting you said that. A couple weeks ago, I had met with with this young man, or last week actually, this young man that was is in the education field, and he has created um this whole public school system in the state of New York called PTEC.
Hmm.
And he was saying, through he's the founder of that program, and that the school systems across the country are as they are, and they probably will always be like this, where they don't really, there's less money put in the school system, less people wanting to make changes in school systems than any other industry, especially when that's where you create the young minds, right? But
Hmm.
he was saying that 77% of teachers are women. 77% of teacher or
Sure.
of the education system or teachers in the US school systems are women. And because
Do you know why?
why?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do I know why?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know
um
why?
well, I think women choose that profession, um and I think men probably think that profession should be a woman and not a man.
So there are two primary reasons. One, women are more socially acclimated. They're designed. Their DNA is designed for social activities. If you go to an
Mhm.
event and there's a lot of women and men in there, you'll see the women in a
Yeah.
cluster. They cluster to themselves. The women, they like that social interaction. That's one. And that's what they're strong. They're good at that. A woman knows how to read the room better than a
Right.
man. I'm telling you from experience, because you can see, and I test this all the time,
Mhm.
right? So you put two women in a room with a bunch of hat guys, right? And you send one hat guy pass, and that woman will take a quick second. I'll give you 2 seconds. She'll take 2 seconds to look that guy over, and she can tell you everything about that guy, what he's wearing, what he looks like, what his hair look like, the shoes he's wearing. And you go, how the heck you figure that out in 2 seconds? But women are good at that. They can read the room. They can see, who the power broker is in the room and who is
Mhm.
not, who is a lower
Mhm.
level person. Women are good at that. The next thing is women are nurturers. Then that's why you find more women as teachers and nurses, and they're
Mhm.
nurturers. It's in their DNA. You see what I
Mhm.
mean? So those are the types of things. And if you study the career of women over the years, you'll see that most women enter into career fields that has a lot of nurturing components to it, or that social interaction where they work better with people.
Mm.
Yeah, women work better with people than to work with things or devices.
Mm. And one of the things this young man said, that there's definitely a wage gap, and it's probably a larger wage gap in the education system even than it is in the corporate professional system, and even more so than in the well, not as much as in the entrepreneur system, because that wage gap is huge for women entrepreneurs versus men entrepreneurs. So there's like a 2,200 less. They get paid roughly 2,200 less than their male counterparts. And this person was saying, because it's a dominated field of women, that pretty much th- no one puts that much um emphasis of importance on that field. If there were more men, they said education would be viewed differently and treated differently in America if the percentages were flipped, more men to women,
Mm-hmm.
which is very
Yeah.
interesting. And then you jump over
Yeah.
to entrepreneurship, and what a
Mm-hmm.
on the average, a woman entrepreneur makes 53,000. dollars a year,
Mm-hmm.
whereas a man
Mm-hmm.
that's almost doubled for him
Right.
doing the
Right.
same business.
And again, it goes to some of the things I mentioned earlier. One, and I need to do some more studies on this, some more research. But also they found that women, because they believe in nurturing, they believe in people. They like to interact with people. You have a lot more women in the counseling field. They do
Mhm.
counseling because that interpersonal. That you got women in those fields, women in the clothing industry, retail, those types of
Mhm.
hospitality, those types of
Mhm.
industries. And a lot of those industries don't pay as much as the hard, the difficult fields, like garbage man, sewer people doing, heavy construction. So those industries pay a lot more. So when you look at the wage gap, those are part of the reasons they said why the wage gap, there's a disparity in the wage gap because of the choices that some of the women make. They go into those types of
Mhm.
businesses. However, on the other side, if a woman and a man are in the same industry, you're right. The male will get a lot more, a lot bigger contracts, a lot larger contracts, a more responsible contract than the women would, because they're not regarded as highly as the male. Just like, again, like I say, just like with
Yeah.
minorities, you're not going to see a minority key architect or a minority key general contractor to build, like a 70 story
Mhm.
skyscraper. They're going to choose another group. And the same thing with women. So it's that innate self bias conditioning
Mm.
of the privileged, I'd
Mm.
say, the privilege that caused that.
And there's a specific so I pulled up an article, the difference between male and female entrepreneurs. So men again, we've coached both, but men entrepreneurs have the following characteristics. They tend to grow faster and get bigger,
Hmm.
are more ambitious, tend to be technical based, have trouble keeping
Yes.
staff, and go out of action
Mm.
more frequently and have more crises on the way.
Okay, so let's go over those points again. So you said the first difference is
They
what?
tend to grow faster and get bigger. This is men.
Okay. Hmm. All right. What's the
Are
second
more
one?
ambitious
Hmm.
and tend to be technically based.
Right. That part is true.
Uh-huh. Have trouble keeping staff.
Now, did they say why they have trouble or
No,
no?
uh-uh.
They just listed it,
Mm-mm.
right?
And it
Okay.
might be for the reason you quoted earlier, because of the
Yeah.
nurturing piece.
Right. And men, they say it's not the way you say things, it's how
Yeah.
you say it. Men, we don't try to
The
butter up what
sugarcoat
we're saying.
stuff.
We just say it rough. Yeah, yeah, we just say it rough, like, hey, go do that, And a woman would say, can you please go do that,
Right.
So that's why you get a lot of turnover in staff, because yeah, men are just, they're direct and
Yeah.
abrasive.
Right, 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 right. They go out of action more frequently. I'm not quite sure what they meant by that. Or out for action more frequently, or I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. The last one is have more crises on the way.
Uh-huh. Have more crises on the
Mhm.
way. So it's not solving more crises, it's
Having
having
more
more
crises
crises?
along the way. I think I can see
Mm.
that actually, because if I look at would like look at if we look at some of the male entrepreneurs today, I think that having more action and have more crises, because I don't know if I think a lot of times they just shoot from the hip
Yeah.
without a lot of backup data and
Planning,
planning and stuff.
resources.
They're more action
Yeah.
oriented. Maybe that's what they mean, like by that, but not
Yeah.
necessarily. For me, if I'm gonna make a move, I gotta make sure I'm more. I guess women are more risk adverse, and
Right.
men probably are take more
They
risks,
take
right?
more
And
risk.
they'll just,
Right.
if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
that really means.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see number five being that because yeah, they'll take more risk and they'll also just like you say, they'll shoot from the hip. And a lot of them have, I mean, come on. Some of these trust fund babies, they get money from
Yeah, so
their
they don't,
parents,
then they're not concerned about losing the money.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly.
So now
Exactly.
the women, and I think this falls in line with everything you just said, are women are
Uh-huh.
hardworking, more careful, accurate, serious in inquiring, less likely to seek and listen to advice, which is probably why most of our coaching clients are women versus men.
Yes, and that's why I like them because just what you just said. Just what you just said right there. They listen more.
They're coachable.
They're more coachable. They're more
They're
coachable.
better at dealing with people.
That's true. They're more like I say, they're more people oriented.
And then I think this one is very, very true. More likely to worry and underestimate themselves. I spend a lot of time in my business encouraging, motivating, and lifting up. That's most of what my coaching practice is. And
Hmm.
just ensuring
Yeah,
women that they can do whatever they want to do. They just have to set their
yeah,
mind and not to step back from the worries. If you plan it,
yeah,
then and you know what the calculated risk is, then you still
yeah.
have to go for it, not to be timid. So I would say women are a little
Right.
bit more timid at going after their dreams than men are.
And part of that is because they don't have access to a lot of resources, they tend to be more careful in the decisions they make because they're going, if I blow this resource, I'm never going to get back to this stage. I don't get opportunities. Only 4% of us get loans from the bank. Only 4% of us win contracts. So I got to be really
Mhm.
careful,
Mhm.
as opposed to the others where, they can easily get contracts, easily get loans, the privileged
Mhm.
kinds. Yeah. So those are that's why they take more risk because they have all those, they've got those backup, those, what do you call it? The parachute. You've got more of a golden parachute available to those entities than they are for women or minorities.
Okay. Another thing that when in this research is that women and men's motivation for being in business is different.
For sure. For
Now,
sure.
I know for me, a women, well, this report indicated that women's first motivation is autonomy and flexibility, and that has a lot to do
Hmm.
with their families. Um, and this is probably 3 times higher than their second and third position. Women are less motivated than men by the identification of opportunity
Hmm.
than men. Um, and men seem to their motivation is based upon um, they are based upon um opportunity. So when there's a list here, it says search for men. So it has a statistic, a chart here. And the chart is, let me see if I can pull it up a little bit. I don't know if they can see it, but I can roll it up. I can give it a shot, right? Hmm. Okay. So the chart indicates that men, and I'll have to read it because it's kind of small. On the search for autonomy, men are 54% um concerned about that. Women are 62% concerned about that.
about
Autonomy and flexibility.
okay. So men are more motivated by money and opportunity, and yes, female are less motivated by the opportunity itself.
Yeah.
They're motivated more by the fact that they can do that. They can get access to people, other people, and provide that they can provide their skills as well. But they like working more with people. Another reason that I don't think a lot of people think about or talk about is that women tend to be more agreeable than men, and when it comes to the corporate and career
Mm.
world, because you will find less women arguing with their boss than you do find a man. I mean, I know this as a fact because I used to cuss out some of my bosses back in
And now here's what I notice with men is that from a man's standpoint, there's more, it appears there could be more competition. They're
yeah,
more competitive than women are
yeah,
in that
yeah,
space.
yeah.
You know,
And again, that goes to the point you made earlier about they're going after the opportunity and the money. You see what
yeah,
I
the
mean?
opportunity money. So that was the next one is opportunity and money. Men are about 33% are looking for opportunity, whereas women are 20%. Um, the ability or the motivated by developing a product or service. Men are 28% motivated by producing a product or service, and women are 24% about producing a service.
Yeah.
Partnership higher, actually, men, partnership proposals, men are more motivated, almost 15%, 16%, whereas women are about 8%.
And I agree with that too, because since women don't get much opportunities with men, because they don't see them as being a worthy peer, then they'll tend to, if there's a promotion, they'll tend to give it to their boys or give it to a man. They can go hang out after
Mhm.
work, go to a bar, go to a game, while, to hang out with a woman after work or at a bar, it's going to have certain
Right.
stigma to that. It's going to look a certain way, like, hey,
Yeah, okay.
trying to get in her pants or something
Yeah,
like
so it
that.
won't be
But
it's not as, genuine and
yeah, here's another thing I want to put out there, co-host. When it comes to men being more motivated by money and opportunity, is because men are designed to be
mm,
providers. They're provided to be designed to be
mhm,
breadwinners. So that's why them looking at opportunity and money is so crucial, because our job is to take care of the home, take care of the family, bring money in, while most women don't have to be breadwinners, and that's another reason why they may take jobs that pay less than the man, because they're going, okay, my man is a breadwinner, he's bringing home some money, you know he'll take care of the family. What I bring in is just going to be auxiliary, so I can do these other things. I can buy my clothes, I can do this, I don't have to pay bills.
mhm.
So you see a lot more of that in the marketplace. So it's
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
one other I think that's pretty significant is that's motivation is men are less interested or motivated by personal development, and theirs is about 4.5%, whereas women
they said
men are
men are
less
less.
motivated by personal development, or
I don't agree with
and
that
women
one.
are more motivated by personal development.
I don't agree with that one, and I'll tell you
Okay.
why. Because in order for a man to be of value or substance, you know, a woman don't see him unless he's a contributor. He has something. He's got status, or he's got some level of self-sufficiency. He's going
Mhm.
somewhere. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So in order for him to attract her, he has to have a lot of things in place. Take care of himself. Be in shape. Have some type of resources. So men are more motivated to be better in terms of self development.
Mm.
So that's how I'm
Okay.
looking at it.
Okay. All right. I can see
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I can see that. Now the
yeah.
next one that was um a comparison was a structural weakness regardless of gender. So
Mhm.
they're indicating that women, majority of men are not accompanied in the creation of the lack of support concerns both sexes, and the majority of men and women are not accompanied in the creation of their business. So they're more like creating this business on their own. So men, they're about neck and neck. Men are at 44%, and women are at 44% as well.
So they're saying that men, they don't really, they're not excited, or it doesn't mean a lot to them for the woman to build
Well,
something.
I
Is that
think
what
what
they're
they're
saying?
saying that in creating their business, both of them don't necessarily go out seeking for a partner or someone to do it with them.
That's true.
If they're
That's true.
motivated, they will go out, and it's equally the
Yeah,
same far as a support system,
yeah,
right?
that's true. But I will tell you one thing though, that men, they tend to, when a woman is working on certain career or business, a lot of men, they don't put a lot of interest in that, because to them, that it doesn't matter what she's doing,
Mhm.
because in their mind they're thinking she's not going to share her resources with me anyway.
Mm.
If I'm unemployed for a year and a half, she's not going to take care of me. She's going to kick me out on the street and say, hey, you're on your own. You see what I'm saying? I'm serious, and there's a lot of research on that. Women do not interview some of your friends. The women will not take care of a man for a long period of time. They may take care of him for
Yeah,
two,
that's true.
three,
That
maybe
you're
6
right.
months.
You're right.
It-
At some point they begin to think he's a freeloader, and not necessarily
exactly.
coming from them. I think it's coming from their counterparts, their girlfriends and stuff. It's like, you still
Yeah,
taking care of that
yeah,
man?
yeah. What's up with
But
him? What's up with that
but
freeloader?
this was something interesting the other day that Michael Lawson, the president, the CEO of the Urban League, he was one of the
Yeah.
kids asked Michael, um, what did he what did he say? What was the one thing regret or accomplishment that he did that um that really stood out for him in his career or in his life, not in his career, in his life. And he thought about it and he said, I married up. He said that's men should marry up. And he said,
Uh,
he said, I'm only going to speak to the boys in the room on this one. Men should marry up. He said, you should marry a woman that sees your full potential and is willing to walk with you down the road to help you get to your potential. And he said the reason why he had that this advice was he said that he had when he went to Harvard yeah, he had some friends and all of them had an aspiration to get in Harvard. One friend of his married when he was young. And so his his education process was delayed because they had a child early on. And so he and his wife had to come to a certain agreement for him to go back to school. Right.
Yeah.
So for his undergrad, and then after he did his undergrad, he wanted to be an attorney, and all
Right.
of them had an aspiration to go to Harvard. And so
Right.
they were all waiting. They had all applied for Harvard, and they were all waiting for the acceptance. Right. So Michael had gotten his, and this guy got his, but he called Michael before Michael got his, and he said, "Man, I got accepted in Harvard." And he's like, "Oh man, that's fantastic! Oh my God, this was their thing, right? They all wanted to get into and
Yeah.
wanted to be a Harvard graduate law students, right?"
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
says, "But man, I can't go." He said, "What do you mean you can't go?" He says, "My wife says if she was in agreement with me going for my BA, she is not in agreement with me going any further than that."
Is she not gonna
And she
support him?
said that if he goes for his to Harvard for the 3 years, she was gonna divorce
Yeah.
him.
Because it's a long-term commitment, man. And I'm telling you, women are not designed to take care of a man or support him, for much longer than 6 months. Anything after that, then it's all up in the air. Whatever happens,
Right.
happens.
So he didn't go, but him and the wife got divorced anyway. And
Anyway,
uh,
see, so he should have just
right,
done
he should have just, and so Michael says that he says, so men should not be afraid to marry up. Marrying a woman that is, I guess, actually willing to be your be there for you while you're, because I mean, if that's the case and you all are on the same page about everything else, this is just
Yeah,
a fraction of the inconvenience. So if he becomes a very
right.
successful whatever he's going to be, then
Yeah,
that's like Denzel Washington. Him and his wife has been married over 50 years. She was married till she was
yeah.
broke.
Right, right. See, those types of women co-hosts are rare. You don't find them every day. They're not out there just hanging around waiting. No. Those are very rare. And yes, they have to start out with you early, when you're 20, 21, or somewhere around there. But if you should find a woman, when you're in your 30s and she's in her 30s, uh-uh. There's no way she's gonna wait on you or send you to better yourself. Uh-uh. She's not doing that. Women are not designed to take care of men. No, they're not doing that.
Oh Lordy. So you were in agreement. So that was his advice. So here's the next comparison. Um,
Yeah.
as far as women entrepreneurship is concerned, the table shows that the support is even weaker. Women will make even less use of accountants, like almost 35% compared to 39% for men, and also
Mhm.
less of external consultants, meaning like us, coaches and mentors and things like that.
Right.
Men are much more likely, and I think that's very true. Men thrive on mentorship in their early careers.
Mhm. Right. Now, the reason I would say that the woman would select an accountant less than a man is probably because of her pride. She's ashamed or afraid. But I see more women. If you look at your client list, I'm sure most of
Most of my
them are
clients are
women,
women.
right?
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't really believe and agree with this statement. But if we're looking at it from another standpoint, that maybe the women are just embarrassed, they don't want, others to know that they're reaching out for help. But I
Most
don't
of my
agree with that. I
clients,
think
and I
women.
and not that I remember, I don't necessarily go out recruiting, so But
Right.
my clients come from, referrals, and most of them are coming from referrals of entities that they're trying to find capital with, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I do get less referrals from men. I don't get, very rare, the any of those entities send me a man. Most of them are
Right.
sending me women,
Our
and I don't
women.
know whether that means that the men are all fixed and they got their accounting piece and their foundation solid. I don't know if that's what that means.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh. That's not what that is. That's not what that is. They will probably reach out to a male accountant
Okay.
first. And then if that they'll try like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And if it doesn't work, then they'll go, oh, okay, let's try this female. So that's
Okay.
one. Going back to the female, the part of the reason why the female entrepreneur may not reach out to get help financially in the accounting space is because she's probably thinking, okay, just like when a woman goes to the auto dealership to get her car fixed, she's thinking, okay, these guys are going to take advantage of
Mhm.
me. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the accounting part where she's probably thinking, okay, these guys probably think I don't know anything about numbers. They're probably going to try to pull the wool over my eyes. But then when they get the opportunity to reach out to a female like you, they reach out and they're comfortable talking to you because most of your clients, like you say, are female and they are comfortable talking to you.
Yeah, they
So
feel that, I do get this or response or feedback is that you're so patient with me and that
yes,
you will walk me through this, and I'm just so horrible at this. And
yeah.
I guess the reason I haven't done it is because I didn't want to be judged. So you're absolutely right.
See, there you go. There you go. They don't want the men saying these women are so dumb. They don't even know number. You see what I'm saying? So that's what. So these studies, man, some of these studies are incomplete. I wouldn't,
Yeah. So
just
and in
take what
fact,
they're
once
telling you.
one client of mine, we are on we're I told her, I said, when you, because her CPA just made her feel so bad. I said, we're gonna make him wonder what the heck happened. By the time we get done with you, you going when you send him your financial reports, he just gonna be
Yeah,
blown away. And you're gonna
yeah,
tell him you
yeah,
did this all yourself. And so she
yeah,
said, I just feel so much more confident than, yeah, because her
yeah,
CPA
yeah.
was making her feel like really small. So I guess that's why I have more women, because I am very patient in that space.
Now you see what you just described your co-host about the
Uh-huh.
patience, and then you're willing to teach them and you're courteous and kind to. It's the same thing I do, and that's why I feel I have so many female
Uh,
clients as opposed to the male. You see what I'm
right,
saying?
exactly.
Because I'm the first to say, hey, don't be ashamed of this. Don't worry about it, man. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna get you to where you need to be. And women like
Right,
to hear that. They like to know they got someone in their corner, as opposed to certain dudes that, man, these women are so
right.
dumb. They
Or
don't know what
or
they're
they get
doing.
very they get impatient, right? Like, and rolling
Yes,
their
yes,
eyes, and just
yeah,
their whole body
exactly.
language says, like, I don't have
Yes,
time for this. It's like sometimes
yeah,
when when you talk to a tech person, right? So, I
yeah,
because I have a certain knowledge, a little bit of a knowledge, they'll go, "Wow, you know what
right.
you're talking about." Yeah, I do.
And they're speaking down
Right,
to
and then
you
they're
like
like,
they
and then
think they
it
should dumb
changes
it
when they
down.
realize that, wait a minute, she does know a little bit of something. The next one is women are more likely to train than men. Now, that is absolutely true. Most of the women in
Yeah, I
my
agree.
practice have been, but they were saying that men are, uh, they'll have, if you look at the statistics, um,
Hmm.
men search, they have a higher, before they actually launch their business, they'll search for
Yeah,
potential clients. They have a higher percentage of doing that than
yeah,
women do.
yeah.
All right,
That's
so
true. That's true because women. they operate more on the emotions, that thinking that okay, if I build it, they'll
Yeah,
come. And
right.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's true.
Men will have a written business plan. They have a higher percentage of having a written business plan than women. Yeah, most of my women don't have business plans. I that's why they're
Yeah.
in those classes with us. Men will do more market research than women.
Yeah. Because that now that's the logical side of their brain
Okay,
thinking right there.
okay.
So and they said men are more logical than women. So that's where the logical part comes
Uh,
from.
Seeking specific training for future segments of activities, men are less likely to do that than women. Women have a higher percentage of doing research and seeking out training for future activities.
Right. Because again, men think, hey, once I figure out what's going on here, I'm good. I don't need all that extra stuff. When the time comes, I'll
Right,
deal with it,
right.
you know?
Yeah, that I've seen in my practice.
Yeah.
Searching for public financing capital higher for men than women, and probably
Yeah,
for the
that's
very
true.
reason that you said, most women are turned
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't want to be shamed or anything like that, you
Men will
know?
do have a higher percentage of management training than women.
Yeah. 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 You know
Why?
why? Because like you said earlier, they're competitive. So they want to outdo their competitors, their male peers, counterparts,
Okay,
you
so
know. So that they'll try to get by on learning a little bit more so they can make more money and get the opportunity over their peers.
Uh, okay, I agree with that. Men search for financing among friends and family. This I've noticed that men don't have a problem asking you for money to invest in their businesses,
That's
whereas
true.
women
That's true.
are very uncomfortable with going to ask friends and family for financing.
They're, they'll rather ask their boyfriend, lover, you know, that type of thing, than to ask family or just mutual
Yeah.
friends.
Men have a higher percentage of searching for a business partner than women. Women are very, and this one I found because I've suggested to a number of women because I tell them that most of my businesses I have partners, and for me,
Mhm.
for primarily for the reason that they have certain skill sets that you guys have
Yeah.
certain skill sets that augment what I do, right?
Right.
And then
That's
it
true.
gives us a bigger area to well, one, we have support of each other, but it also gives us
Yeah.
a bigger playing field because we can look bigger
Right.
than what we are. But most women are like, ah, no, I'll do this by myself.
You know what's amazing about yours and mine
Huh.
relationship? I'm sure when you first started out, you didn't think our relationship would be this strong, or the things we do right now, you probably wouldn't think that we would get to that level. You know, you probably just saw it as just a regular little relationship. I'll just go with the flow and see what happens. You see what I'm saying? But it has grown over the years because of what we are to each other. You know, we support each other in so many different ways, and it just makes the whole stronger.
um
Would you agree or
Actually
disagree to
not.
that?
I was very, when I first met you, which was at that um training session you did with Sharon
Yeah, up there at
in
in
Culver
Culver
City.
City. That, yeah,
I've been in my space for a very, very long time. I didn't know much about your space. It's the
yeah,
certification. I knew, government contracts. I didn't know all the ins and outs, but with my clientele, a lot of them were in that not in that position at all. But when you were
yeah,
talking, you were just like making so much sense, and I'm thinking, why are people not there? Right?
right,
And and at that point in time I thought, what if we'd be very beneficial to each other if, I'm doing the
yeah,
the part, the launching part, the startup part, the foundational part, and then you
yeah,
then being able, I always, I think for my clients, generally because they're in startup mode, and some of them have been in businesses for years, but they can't get past a certain place. It just it
Yeah.
made sense to me, actually. Now,
Right.
um, obviously, and the business zone was just, I was out looking for people, and I mean, who knew you had the very complimentary skills until I was signing the contract. And then at that point, but we had worked so well together when we did
Yeah.
that contract for
Yeah.
uh
For
Mount Sac.
Mount Sac.
But that's
Yeah.
probably also that I've worked in the past in other, not just not business necessarily, but in my philanthropy world, where I've done nonprofit world. I've been I've had partnerships that work very well, that we were able to use our skill sets to augment each other. And then some of them worked, some of
Yeah.
them did not work. So yeah,
Right.
and then, and then it just I'm the kind of business person that, if it's coming into my world based upon what I'm passionate about, I'll see anything through,
Yeah.
because I think it's always better to work with a partner or with people than it is to work by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this was really a good partnership because you had good vibes and I like your vibes. I didn't know where the relationship was going to go, but I know at the moment I felt good with
Hmm.
you. And I'm going, let's ride this until the wheels fall off. Let's ride this thing, man, until the wheels fall off and see where it goes. And it's been great. It went into some good
And I
directions.
think also because I'm not that person. I'm all about everybody shining in their space. So, some people don't know how to stay in their lane, and some
Yeah.
people feel intimidated by others who are successful in their
Right.
lane, which is usually what happens in partnerships. But I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I will
Right.
help you shine, and in return you're helping me shine, and it works well. We support each other in a great way. And my other partnerships have been like that. And I think the one thing I liked about the fact, Gilbert, with us, is you've never underestimated what I know.
That's true.
And I
That's
have
true.
had that in the past, where people underestimated what I knew, and then they became
I
intimidated
think
by what I knew.
I think I think it has a lot to do with a person's background, history, and involvement. Because one, I learned a lot of things about people and dynamics and interpersonal
Hmm.
relationship and all of that. I've done a lot of studies and all, so that probably has been a help because my thing is with my partner, I just want to know that you're competent in a certain area and I give you the autonomy to do whatever you want to do because that means I don't have to focus on that part anymore. I focus on this other
Hmm.
part that I need to do. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But those other people who you mentioned that, it's like either they want to take the glory or they think they should be on top of you and you should be their
Hmm.
subordinate. That's probably why a lot of partnerships don't work because some people are thinking, okay, if we're in a partnership, this person's going to be a subordinate to me. And it doesn't work that way. Like, for example, those people who think that women should be subordinate and be down here and I step on you and I tell you when to
Hmm.
talk and walk, that could not be me because I see you as more than that. I tell you you're a superwoman all
Hmm.
the time because I see you do all these things. I'm going, dang, would I be willing to do those things? I don't know. I don't know if I'd be willing to do those things. So you are just phenomenal, man. You're just phenomenal in your own right, and it's just amazing. I just see this as a great
Yeah,
partnership,
yeah,
man.
and I agree. It has worked out because because of that, I think we have great respect for our areas of expertise, and we have
Yeah.
respect for each other as human beings, and the
Right.
experiences of how we've acquired those experiences. And it's a good synergy, I guess is the word for it, and that's why it actually works. So some
And also, even though I feel I have a strong knowledge in accounting and all of that stuff, I still would not put my my opinions, belief, or anything like that ahead of you, because this is a field that you've worked in for your whole life. So I got to give you that level of respect for that. And you do a lot of this stuff every day. I don't do a lot of this stuff every day. You see what I mean? So there's no way, even though I teach, balance sheet,
uh-huh.
profit and loss, statement of cash flow, and those things, I still would yield to you and let you run that show. And I'll take, a secondary position on that.
Yeah,
You see what I
right,
mean?
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, and I think when people look at partnerships, when I'm talking to my clients about partnership, you gotta it's like a marriage. You have to make sure
Yeah.
that that you have a solid understanding of who each other is, and to give everyone each other their space to do what they need to do without trying to market manage it or assume that it's going to be counterproductive to the bigger picture.
Man, you know what I'm thinking of after listening to this conversation, Coles? We should write a damn book on business partnership, how business partnership works. What you can do to make it work and what you can do to make it fail. Because I don't think there's any
Yeah, I
books out
think
there
it would
like
be
that.
a great book because and how we've
Yeah.
succeeded over, and how the complementing, and I think it's really important. I
Yeah.
Because that's really the fear for most
Yeah.
people of partnerships,
Yeah.
is that they're going
Yeah.
to get lost in the
Right.
whole thing, that somebody is going to, somebody's personality or someone's ego is going to override
Right.
your ego, and make you
Right.
diminish you in that space, or in the case of a woman, feel that they're subservient in that space. So yeah, no, that's not a bad
Yeah.
idea, because partnerships, I personally think that, especially, that what there's one of the statements, I think it's number 6, women also lack less confidence than men, but this one I think resonated pretty significant, is that most women are solopreneurs, but because they're
Yeah.
solopreneurs, their businesses
Yeah.
don't grow.
Right, right, right. Because they need that other part to complement it. And Jessica said, I would read that book. So, Jessica, we're definitely going to work on that book because, after listening to, what we're saying, I'm going, damn, there should be a book like that out there because I don't
Yeah,
see any.
exactly.
I
And
don't
coming
see
from
any.
us, we're both
Yes.
coaches. We coach in
Yeah.
different spaces, but there is overlap. But it's how we
Right,
do it, right? It's how
right,
how
right,
we've made it work, and the things that we've
right.
seen, and because we coach other people, we've seen, that
Yes.
she said I would use your story as a framework on how to develop a healthy partnership. Thank you,
Yes, and
Jessica.
that makes sense. That's what I was just thinking too, Jessica, that what we're talking about right now is what we should use as a framework to do a partnership like this. Because really, Crystal, what you and I have is so amazing, man. Not only can this be used in business, but it can also use in personal
Yeah.
relationship. We respect each other a
Mhm.
lot. We believe in each other. We never underestimate the other
Mhm.
person. We support the other person. Even if I don't believe in what you're saying, I'll go
Mhm.
with it, and I'll support you on it because we're a
Mhm.
team. And at the end of the day, it comes out well. There's so many subjects that we take on this program that it pops up and you recommend it. I say, sure, let's go with it. And then by the time we get into it, it's so amazing. And that's another thing about this relationship of
Mhm.
ours. it's so free flowing. It's free. How many weeks do we come in here, right? Doing the business zone, and we didn't have well, we probably had a topic that we
Right.
planned on, but something happened where the guest
Yeah.
didn't show up or whatever, and we found out the
We-
day of, like
Hours
hours
before,
before,
an
and
hour.
we
Yeah.
just say, no, we said, don't worry about it. Let's do our
Right.
thing. And we just pick another topic and we just free flow, and it came out amazing. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with
Yeah,
partnerships, man.
partnerships,
It's
and
phenomenal.
that's that
Yeah.
thing. It's like you both of us are independent enough, and we both acquired our knowledge or our expertise
Yeah.
over in our own
Yeah.
areas of expertise, or in our own areas
Right.
in our practices. We have that knowledge, but we're not in competition with each other.
Exactly.
Right. We're
Exactly.
not trying to one up each other, right? We're trying to say
Right. Right.
bringing information, and I think the most important piece is that um we both want to serve our customers and make sure that they're going to be successful in their businesses.
Yes. Yes. And also another thing that I is very evident from this partnership is, I'll be out there in the marketplace and someone bring up an opportunity. Hey, I'd like you to come on this podcast. I'd like you to do this. And I say, yeah, let me check with my co-host and see if she's available, because I'm always bringing food for the table for
Right,
both of us.
exactly, exactly.
Not just one party to benefit, what I bring to the table, so both of us can
Right,
benefit,
exactly.
man.
And
So
when someone
I like
someone's talking about, contracts and stuff, that needs to be Gilbert. I know surface
yeah,
level, but if you really
yeah,
truly want to understand how to go about doing it and doing it the proper way so that you don't have to
right,
backtrack and fix it later on when you're in the midst
right,
of a contract, that's the person you need to be
yeah,
talking to. This man knows his
exactly.
stuff out there better than anybody that
Yeah,
I know that's doing the same thing.
yeah.
So that's what
Oh
partnerships are
yeah,
made of, is that you are I was watching this morning Morning Joe, and they're on
yeah,
MSNBC, and that's kind of
yeah,
he and Micah. They have that kind of
yeah,
relationship, right? You don't always
yeah.
agree. Like yesterday, they were laughing because Micah had on, they're now married, but Micah had on these shoes. They were loafers with heels, and she had socks with her.
Yeah.
And Joe is like, "Oh my God, that's horrible." And so one of the other guys came on, and he was really loving them. The camera came in and showed her shoes and her socks. They were kind of silvery. And so the guy told Joe today, she told Joe that, hey, he liked my socks. He said, man, you just undermined everything that I said to her yesterday about them socks and shoes. You just have undermined me, man. And she laughed and he laughed. But that's the
I
kind of
love
thing.
it.
So when you look at partnerships, there
Yeah,
is there's an art to creating a successful partnership.
yeah.
There is. So I think that could be a good book for us.
Jessica, I'm going to take your advice. We've been talking about doing all kinds of
I
books on
think this
this
is a
show,
good one.
but yeah, we are definitely going to do this one, Jessica. And we'll put you in here as a reference. I would say inspired by Jessica.
Yeah, we'll do our
Okay.
forward. But maybe, and I think we'll talk about this. But I think interviewing some couples that are, or some individuals that are good partnerships
That's been
that's
in
been in
business.
business
Yeah.
and that it's worked pro good and
Yeah.
bad. And doing our research to find
Hmm.
good and bad,
Hmm.
what works and what doesn't work, and why doesn't it work, and that kind of stuff, and what is a
Yeah.
successful formula. But I
Right.
personally think that, especially as a solopreneur, that
Yeah.
one should have support, and this is pretty much what this survey was about.
Yeah.
As both a male and a female, it's so much easier to go this road as an entrepreneur with
Hmm.
someone in your corner, got your back, and you
Yeah.
guys can help build your empires together. I think
Hmm.
that's really
I
as
love it.
opposed to
I love it.
trying to do it solo.
Right, right, right. And you know, as we're talking here about women in business and the differences between women and men, we know there's going to be differences. You know, there's going to be differences by both sexes,
Mhm.
right? Because of the DNA structure, the way things
Mhm.
are in society. But if we could just bring that together using some of the formulas that you and I use, think about how much more successful that could
Yeah.
be. You see what I'm saying?
It's like, when I talk to people, and then I know you talk about this a lot. It's like your SWOT analysis, right?
Yes,
If you have
yes,
if
yes,
you're strong here and your partner and you're weak in this area, but you have a partner that's strong here, then that makes you strong in
yeah,
that area, right?
yes,
And the
yes,
same
yes.
thing with the opportunities. If you see you may see an
Yes,
opportunity that I may not see, but then after we talk about it, it's like, yeah, that's not a bad opportunity, right? Yeah, let's give
yes,
that a shot. And the same thing with your threats. If there's a threat out there, how
yeah,
do we shore up to make sure our business is successful, even under that?
yeah,
And going that alone is a whole lot different than going that together, because you can feed off each other to come up with better solutions. So I just think
right.
it's very important, especially as and it's not even, like, we've been partners and we don't even share our office, right? We just you do your
Exactly.
thing, I do my thing, but we come together when we come together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we help support each other. So very important.
And think of this. Our relationship has been what, more than 10 years, probably
Uh-huh,
12 years or
uh-huh,
more,
uh-huh.
right? And it's just phenomenal, man.
Mhm.
It's oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's just, but there's some components to it that people have to be very when they're putting that together, they need to be very conscious of it,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
if they don't, then it's not going to be successful.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
All righty.
Well, I think we've done a great show today, man, in covering, these differences between female entrepreneurs, male entrepreneurs. And the amazing thing about this co-host, we talk about the differences, and then we talk about how to bind those differences together to make the both
Right.
units work and be successful.
Yeah,
You see what I
exactly.
mean? So this is just phenomenal the way we
Yeah,
did
yeah,
this.
I think so.
This
So
is
hopefully
phenomenal.
our audience and those are listening, you guys have gotten some valuable input from this, and those that will be hearing it as it trends itself on social media, on YouTube. Um, but something to think about, right? Something to think about.
Oh, for
If your
sure.
business has hit a wall and you want it to grow, and somebody else out there may be in that same position, or just bring yourselves together um in a different platform and see how it crosses over. That's pretty much what Gilbert and I did. We didn't seek each other out as full business partners. It just kind of it
Right.
started with that contract with Mount Sac,
One sec.
and that
Yeah.
went extremely well for the what we did that for 5 years, almost 6 years.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
yeah.
this came along, the business zone came along, and now
Right.
we're celebrating our 7th year. So
Well, the next step in this relationship and this partnership is television, and we're working on that. And I know when we started out, we had a couple of opportunities to be on television with the show, but a few little things got in the way. A few little things didn't sound right
right,
to
exactly.
us,
But I
so
think a
we
book would get us to that next level. I think a book
yes,
would get us, because
yes,
then we'd be on tour and all that kind of stuff with our book. And so,
yes,
yeah, we just have to
yes.
definitely, after I finish with Biz Camp in September, I would like, we're going to do some other things as well that's going to take us in a upward direction. And
Well, the book will, we can do
oh,
tours with.
yeah.
So,
Speaking
so
and
that would be
speaking
good.
engagements and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we got to do, man. And we've been talking about doing this book, but now I think is the time, man. This is the
Okay, well,
time.
we'll put together an
That
outline and see what we want to put in that outline, and
and many of the things we talk about on this show would become a part of the content,
I think so.
because we talk about this all
Yeah,
the time.
we do, we do.
Right, Jessica?
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to us today. We're gonna get our Juneteenth holiday all started up, and
Yeah.
I'm actually flying out on Monday afternoon, but I will be back.
Oh, Monday
Yeah, I'll be back.
afternoon. What time?
I'm
What
flying
time?
out at 3 on
Oh,
Monday, but
wow.
I'll actually be back on Thursday, Friday, Thursday actually.
Mm-mm-mm.
For because I still got I'm in the Mr. Biz camp, right? So I fly back
Oh,
in. I
yeah.
actually fly back in on the 22nd. Um,
So your flight is gonna be what, like 20
no, it's not.
hours?
No, it's not 20 hours. It is actually my flight is 10 hours.
Oh, 10
Hmm.
hours
Yeah,
only?
20 hours to Cape Town.
No. Because, man, I'm telling you, I cannot be. I can't remember the last time I've been on a plane, but I can't sit on it, man. Anything over an hour is too much for me.
Well, prior to these 2 trips, the last year, those 2 trips I took, yeah, that was a little intense. But and then, in August I'm going back to Egypt. So that
Oh, Lord.
these are about the same and equivalent both. And
So Egypt is what, 16 hours?
yeah,
Is it?
yeah. So you go into this one, Egypt would be like flying from here to London to Heathrow, but
Yeah.
now that'll be the
Right.
10 hours. And then from there, I would be flying another 4 hours to Egypt. So you just
Right,
have to
right,
kind of
right.
keep yourself entertained.
Oh, man. I hear you, man.
You like, oh
I
my
hear you.
God.
I'm trying to figure out what I can make entertainment for me, on one of those long trips, man. Woo! I give you credit,
And
co-host.
then
I
I'll be
give
back
you
Friday
credit,
for the
man.
show. So we may be asleep. So you
Oh,
might have to
man.
come up with a topic on for the Friday.
To keep you awake, right?
I'll stay awake. And then the
Oh,
kids,
man.
I miss they're having a sale day, so I won't be there for that Thursday for the sale day because I'll be flying back
Yeah.
in. But yeah, 20, I'm gone for 3 days. But then on that
Mhm.
Friday, Saturday, they're actually coming over to the park and they're coming to, so I'll be at Biz, hey Rob, I'll be bring multiple charges on that flight. Okay, I'm real Rob. Um, um, I'll be in class on Friday morning to teach and then come back here for
Mhm.
in the afternoon. And then on Saturday, the kids are
Man,
coming to the park to do sale day. Sunday, I'm sleeping.
man, this is why I say you're a superwoman, man, because I couldn't be doing all of that, man. I'd be falling asleep somewhere. I'd be falling asleep
Oh,
somewhere, man. I'm like,
that's it. Find you in a corner going like, Gilbert, where you
exactly.
supposed to be?
Yeah, you remember you and I had a meeting with some dude from LinkedIn, and man, I fell asleep on the air live. I can't
Oh, Lord
believe
have mercy. So yeah, that'll be.
it,
So I want you guys to go out and have a great Juneteenth. Enjoy your weekend.
yeah,
But
and
and
Father's
Father's
Day.
Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads and the surrogate dads and the uncles and the grandfathers and all of those. Everybody. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
And those that are out there going to festivals, I think the Playboy Jazz Festival is this weekend as well.
Oh, really?
So it's always on Father's Day weekend. So have a good time,
Mm,
enjoy, and I will
mm,
see you
mm,
next
mm.
Friday with more
Oh, for
great
sure.
information. He said, "Who gave you permission to be human and sleep on a Sunday?" I know that, man. It won't be a choice. It won't be like a choice. It will be by that time I will have passed out. waking up later on in the afternoon that I can actually be in my garden. It's gonna be a little minute to get back
Mm-mm-mm.
together.
I hear that, man. I hear that. Well, folks, we want to thank you for tuning in to us today on the Business Zone. I hope you guys got something out of this. The information we provided, we first talked about Juneteenth, the history of Juneteenth, how it got started, uh, what type of benefits and opportunities we should take out of this. We're not going to sit around and wait for the man to give us some opportunities. We're going to take it. We're going to take it like some of our ancestors back in the early 15s all the
Yeah.
way up, right? And then it culminated in 1920 in Greenwood,
Yes.
Oklahoma,
For the
and
Black Wall Street.
we want Black Wall Street. We want to replicate that and just take things off. We've got our own attorneys, our own airlines, our own medical industry, everything, right? So that's what we're looking forward to do, guys. And we also talked about women leaders, women as leaders, and how different they are in terms of leadership than men. Then we talk about some similarities. Then we talk about partnership between women and men, and how the differences can become strengths within organization and the relationship. So this has been great. This has been an excellent show. Thanks to my amazing co-host. Even she was tired and was dragging a little bit because all the things she's doing, she was still able to perform, guys. That's a superwoman right there.
Yep. So now I'm going to go get something to eat and then I'm going to relax for the rest of the evening. But before we go, guys, just want you to go off and Rob, this is for you. So you wanted to have a recording. We have an archive on YouTube, our channel, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. And so if you just go right on over to the YouTube channel, you can actually take a picture if you have your cell phone right now of that QR code, and it'll take you to our channel. We ask you to subscribe. That would be it. We'd be so thrilled if you did that. And if not, you can
Yes,
go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert on our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. We have over 6.5 years of shows that are archived over there. They're all in nice little handy dandy um, playlist, so you can find any topic you want on things that we've talked about, guests that we've had. So hit that subscribe button. And if you really enjoyed our show today, go tell a friend and share us with them. All righty. So we want to thank you all for joining us and tune back in next week. We will have another amazing conversation, but it's always about business, always providing you with the mentorship and the tools that you need to be successful in any of the businesses that you are running, launching, growing. Whatever stage of business you're in.
that's right.
So we will see you guys next week. So Gilbert, we're gonna take ourselves out of here.
For sure, for sure. And also, I put my contact information in the chat, guys. If you want that, co-host, did you want to
Oh
put
yeah.
yours in there before we sign
Okay.
off? So I've got my contact information in here. You got Coach Gilbert, my phone number, and my email address. Reach out to us if you have any questions, any contracts you want to pursue, any certifications, minority, small disadvantage, veteran owned, or otherwise. If you want to check that out, if you need some help with that, some guidance, any workshops that you need with your back office infrastructure, we can do that. Your bookkeeping and accounting, we can help you with that too. We got a phenomenal expert here, my co-host Crystal, who can really, really help you guys with that. So give us
Yeah.
a call, send us an
And
email.
Gilbert has an
Okay.
amazing program called a app that will help you assess your business, Small Biz Pro. So you can reach out to him Let's put that in the chat there. Small Biz Pro.
Yeah,
Awesome product
that's right.
that
That's
can
right.
really, really help your business. Smallbizpro.net, right?
That's
All righty,
right.
guys.
That's
So we
right.
are signing off for an enjoyable weekend, and we will see you guys next Friday.
We're out.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.